The following program is a production of Naleo TV.
Aloha. Welcome to The Art of Painting with Rockwood. I'm Rockwood. Today's episode, we're going to take this, a plain wooden panel, right? Already primed. And we're going to turn it into this. So stay tuned. Aloha, my name is Rockwood. Thank you for joining me here in my studio where I'm going to teach you how to paint. On my last two episodes, I painted a turtle. I was just showing off, basically letting you know what I can do. Today what I'm going to do is actually show you how I do it. First I'm going to start with a paper plate. I use paper plates because they're disposable. They're cheap. Then I take a paper towel and I fold it up. I put it in here. Now when I do this paint will stay wet in here, usable for up to 3 days. So I'm just going to pour some water on here, get that nice and wet. Then I'm going to take a little wax sheet. You get these from restaurant supply houses and stuff. Put that down there. What this is going to do is this is actually going to keep that paint moist so that I can use it. I'm only going to use about 4 different colors for this painting. Today I'm going to paint a wave for you. These are literally the cheapest paint on the planet. So, you know, if you want to do this kind of stuff, you do not have to go out and spend a lot of money on fancy palettes and fancy paint and paintbrushes. Cheap works just fine. So I'm going to put some dark blue in here, like an ultramarine blue. Then I'm going to take a lighter blue. I don't know what it's called. It's probably a sky blue or something like that. And then I'm going to take an aqua or a blue-green. I'll put that down on there. Then I'm going to take some white. And I'm going to mix it. And I can hear my chair squeaking and stuff. I apologize if that's bothering you. So now that I've got my palette all set, like I said, that's wet right there. So that'll keep that moist and stuff. So then I'm going to grab my paint thing here. Right? This is just a wood panel. You can see that. I've taped off the edges here so that protects the sides. So when I finish this, there won't be anything there. I'm thinking today what I want to do is I want to do this diamond shape. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to line that up from corner to corner. So what that's going to do, that's going to give me my horizon line. Okay? Next, I want to talk about brushes. These are my favorite brushes. They're different kinds, different types, different manufacturers and all that kind of stuff. This one and this one, they're kind of half moon kind of shapes like that. They're called filbert brushes, one of my favorites. I love these. This one is a flat brush. This is a flat brush, so I can do all kinds of just really heavy stuff like that. This is a wedge brush, and I'll show you how I use that wedge brush. This is really cool because what happens is once you get that like that, you can actually stick that tip right in the corner or something and pull it around like that so you get a nice fine edge. These two guys here are called fan brushes. They're generally used for blending. So if you got 2 colors in there and you blend, but when you watch me use my flat brush and my angle brush, you'll see that I use that. This is an outline brush. And this is a round brush. And then, I won't be using it today because it's not that big. But when I do big paintings like the big one you see behind me, I do use this for blending the big sky area like that. So right now, I'm going to start off with my flat brush, stick it in my water over here. I know you can't see that, but I'm just going to get this a little bit wet right here. I'm going to start with the sky. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to grab a little bit of blue, get a little bit of white, just to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm not going to blend it perfect because once I start painting on here, it will blend itself. Tape right up to that tape like that. In future shows, I am going to show you how to do this in oil paint, but the acrylic is really easy because it's water-based, so it's easy to clean up. It's a fast drying kind of thing. Let's get a little bit darker up here. Now you can see how I'm just using the flat brush and I'm just blending it. Since I mentioned it, I'm going to show you how to use it. I told you it was too big for this, but it's really not. So I'm going to use my big blending brush and just wipe it right across there. And you see how nice and soft that makes that sky? See how pretty that is? Grab my filbert brush and I grab a little bit of white. And I'm going to put some clouds in here. Now, when you look at clouds, they're not necessarily have bottoms on it. They just blend right into the sky, so. That looks good. Notice I didn't draw anything on here for this one. It's a small painting. I know how to do waves, so that's not necessary to draw everything on there. So, back to my flat brush. What we're going to do is we're going to take some dark blue, some light blue, mix those together, and we're just going to scrub this right up to that horizon line here. Straight dark blue. Next, I want to create some movement. So what I'm doing here is I'm just mixing with the light blue into the white to kind of get me a really nice white there. So I'm going to have the wave crashing from this side here. So I'm going to put some white caps. You see, I'm barely touching the canvas here. I'm going to rinse my brush out a little bit here. Now what I want to do is, from my perspective here, this wave is actually going to be coming up here as it comes back around. So what I want to do with that is I'm going to go with a little bit of the blue-green, and I'm going to start with that like right up in here. I'm going to pull that down. And a little bit of white. Now this, I want to make it look like it's closer to us, because this would be, if you were in the water with a camera, you would catch this like this. See how far away that is? Let's see how close that looks. That looks really cool. Okay, you know what? Now, I want to show you that wedge brush. Okay, so I got my blue-green, and I think I'm going to start right in the center. I'm going to get that nice tight. Now see, when I bring it over that blue, it's going to blend right into that blue. All this is a C. If you look at the letter C, it's just a but it's backwards. Okay, so now let's grab my round brush. And I'm going to grab this fan brush here. I'm going to bring this in like this. That way I keep that shape like a wave. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and grab some white with the round brush. Now, you can see the sky right here, and everybody knows you've seen the water before, right? So when you look at the water, you can actually see through it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put some white right here so it's transparent. Ah, that looks like crap, right? Now we're going to take that fan brush, and we're going to swipe over this like this. Now see how it's starting to look like we're looking through the water? Barely touching the surface, barely. Cool. Now what we're going to do is take a little bit more of the blue and white mixture, and we're going to bring it down here. Again with the fan brush. I don't know if you can tell, but I keep two brushes in my hand almost all the time. Okay, so that looks good like that. So now what I want to do, when the wave, oh wait, let's do this here. Let's bring a little bit more in there like that. There we go. I love it. Okay, so now I'm still using the round brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some white up on top of here, but I'm just going to pounce it in because I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look like bouncing water. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to dry the brush a little bit, flatten it out just a little bit like that, and then I'm just going to drag that because the water is actually flying backwards. There's movement as it's hitting like this. See how it's going backwards like that? You know what? I need a little bit of black. The reason I'm going to use this little black is that what I want to do is I want to create the shadow, because right in here, that water, the wave is going to be coming down this way here. So that would actually be in a shadow area. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up the white water. And we're going to put that in here like this. And then I'm going to make it a little bit more white in there. Right now I'm trying to get the darker part of the shadow of it. Okay, let's rinse that out. Now we're going to go back to that fan brush. Get that all blended in there like that. What I don't want to do is I don't want to lose that water right there. So now I'm going to take the round brush again. Just a dab of white. Kind of weird trying to talk and paint at the same time because I'm thinking what I need to do. When I paint, I think ahead. Now watch, if you watch how I put a big bunch of paint on there, I can literally wash that off there. I work wet on wet, So when the paint, the dark blue underneath there is wet, you put the wet white on top of it, you can smooth it out, you can blend it around, you can make it smaller, you can make it as tight as you need to. What you need to do though is just make sure you stay within that shape of the wave. Now we're going to bring this up here a little bit more, because as it gets to that crest, fan brush. I'm using my fingers to wipe off the excess water from it so that it doesn't go too far. My sponges. These little tiny sponges, they're cheap as heck. You can get them at the art store. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dab it into here. I'll show you this right there. I'm just dabbing it in. And what I'm doing is I'm blocking it out. I can grab a bunch of it, but then I'll pounce it on the palette so that it's not so heavy when I hit it. And you'll notice that, see all those almost stippling, so it actually looks like water drops. And see, if I start here, I get it nice and dark, or bright white. But as I go down here, you can see that it's starting to look like the water spray coming off the wave. Now, this is where that water is basically doubling up on itself on the inside there. It's already starting to crash around, so see how it's starting to pop. Now this is where it's actually going to be hitting the ocean. Now see how the wet blue is coming through? That looks really cool. So that's what's giving us that transparency. Now I'm moving the sponge around because I don't want to create a pattern that's repeating, because this is nature, so we want it to look really cool. This is actually my favorite part about this kind of stuff, because this is where I start to see everything developing. Now I'm going to go back to that round brush. Just the white. Try it a little bit. Now I'm kind of stippling it. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to run this right up the edge here. This creates that movement that you see. I will tell you, it's harder to do a smaller painting than it is to do the bigger one, because The bigger ones, I could do all of this with the sponge. Now this stuff over here is starting to dry, and see how light it looks now? So now we're going to just take a little bit more white. Somebody actually commented on my last show, and they said that I reminded them of Bob Ross. He was a painter on public access TV back in the day, and I used to watch his shows. And when they said that I reminded them of him, I'm like, I don't know where you're getting at, but it's funny. But I just realized I sound like that. So now I'm just going to touch that like that. Bring this down like this. So what we can't see is where the sun is, but what we can see is where the sun is reflecting on this beautiful wave as it comes down here. So that would be the sun shining this way. So you can see how light it is here like that. Then let's put that in the water there. Clean side of my sponge. I think see, this is the thing. The cool thing about painting is if you look at it, it doesn't have to be a photograph. It doesn't have to look like a photograph, or if you were using reference material. I'm using reference material, but I'm not showing it to you because it doesn't look anything like my reference material. I want it to be whatever I want it to be. And however it flows. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to darken under there because we're going to create a shadow of that white water crashing right there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab some dark blue and we're going to put that shadow in there. And then I'm going to just keep it coming right on down to the corner here. All right, so let's take a little bit of a lighter blue. You see how that looks a little heavy for me? Okay, that looks really good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this up in here a little bit more transparent by taking some white and the blue-green, lighten it up quite a bit. So in case you can't see me, I'm doing this like this here. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going come up here. Kind of warm here today. This is going to dry in a lot faster than normal. So I'm going to get some more white lightning. I like that movement. See how that's creating that cool movement right there? Now we're going to take some blue with a little bit of dark blue on it and just hit that same shadow that we put down there. See all that water on there? Look at that. I'll just wipe that right away. Don't get frustrated. Don't get angry. Just wipe it away. I don't care for how dark that is right there, so I'm going to go in and lighten that up a little bit. So the Honu I painted in the last 2 episodes actually took 2 episodes to paint, but this is only a 6x6 wood panel. So I can actually do this in 1 episode. I hope you're enjoying watching what I'm doing, and I hope you're learning something from it. And I certainly hope it inspires you to do some painting. I think that looks like it needs a little bit more white coming up here like this. Of course, you probably can't see as close as I can to it, but I think this looks way better. And that looks like a wave. So if you guys want to comment on the show, ask me questions or whatever, it's free. Just send Naleo TV an email or whatever, and let them know. Naleo.tv. Naleo.tv. Cool? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Ahui ho.
The preceding program was a production of Naleo TV.